and welcome back to another video on my channel PokePidge. Last week I managed to watch the Detective Pikachu film and I really enjoyed it. I want to tell you guys about it. I want to try not to spoil it though, so this is a spoiler-free review. I'm going to do a spoiler-filled review as well if you've already seen the film, just in case there's any missing Easter eggs or references you didn't quite catch on first viewing. But for now I want to tell you about the film in the most spoiler-free way possible, tell you some of the good and bad points about it, and generally just try and make sure that you guys watch it and join in the excitement I had. We first had the Detective Pikachu game on the 3DS. I played the demo and I didn't think much of it. So when they announced that they were making a Detective Pikachu film, I was fairly skeptical. And then they announced Ryan Reynolds was doing the voice. As great as that guy is, I thought it was a sort of a mismatch and they'd just taken the most famous star at the time, because Deadpool was very popular, and just got him on board, like, yep, he'll do. You know, what I'm going to call the George Clooney effect. You know, Batman film, who can we get to play him? Oh, George Clooney, that's a great idea. It really wasn't. But anyway, this really did make me skeptical. I was in two minds about it. And then, of course, we saw the first trailer. That changed everything. What an awesome trailer that was. I'm sure you've seen it. If not, you really need to, because it's fantastic. And then every trailer after that was just even more interesting and made me more curious to go and watch this film, and more excited. A completely unrelated good point is that there's one shot in the film that's set on a road that I used to walk to go to work. That's right, I apparently work in Rhyme City. This junction here I would walk through every morning and every late afternoon, and it was just kind of weird seeing it on the big screen. I'm a big Pokemon fan. I really enjoyed it. There are bits in there for every Pokemon fan, you know, there's so many references like that, so many references for people who just like Gen 1, but of course if you're more into Pokemon, like guess what, I am, there's references in there that you can enjoy as well. For example, Pokemon moves aren't overly mentioned all the time, you know, a couple are mentioned here and there, yet when you sort of see Pokemon using moves, you can notice, you're like, oh, that looks like an Electro Ball, for example, or that looks like an Ice Beam, you know. The animations they use for the moves in the in-real-life Pokemon, if you want to call it, the IRL Pokemon, they make it clear enough so the hardcore fans can tell what's going on, and it's not just like, you know, a beam of purple light at this one, oh, a beam of red light over here, you know, or we're just going to hit each other, you know. They actually do think about it and they do put the effort in. Seeing Pokemon in real life really did add a personal touch to it. It made it feel real, almost. Whoever worked on the CGI on this film absolutely nailed it. I want to shake them by the hand and thank them for bringing these Pokemon to life in a completely new light. Not only that, the storytelling was fairly good as well. Considering this is a PG, so kids can be interested in it, having a sort of mystery was, there's a very thin line, a very thin grey area of trying to keep the adults entertained, but also trying to make sure that the kids can keep along with the story. And I really do think they found that thin line. It wasn't like a succession of here's a clue, now we've got to put them all together for the climactic ending. Instead, it was more a case of a domino effect, like one clue they found led them to another place, and then they found something else, and you know, so on and so forth. And it was just absolutely fantastic for that. I think they really did nail it. After a while, Ryan Reynolds' voice actually just settles in as Pikachu. For the first sort of 5-10 minutes, you're like, this is really brilliant, it's Deadpool as Pikachu. But then after a while, as the story and the script becomes more natural, so does the voiceover, and you completely forget about it. And instead, you're just thinking, hey, that's Pikachu talking. But let's not let Ryan Reynolds take all the plaudits for this film in terms of acting. Justice Smith and Catherine Newton are a perfect pairing in this film. You get to see Catherine Newton's character develop in a very good way. Obviously, not going to go into it, but starting off in one sort of style, and especially the introductory scene, and then growing through all the way to how she ends up. It's a really good progression. Not to mention Justice Smith's character, Tim Goodman. As you can see from the trailers, if you've seen them, he's a person that doesn't want a Pokemon. And this is played on throughout the entire film. Of course, he's partnered up with Detective Pikachu, and that partnership is explored very deeply, and it's very satisfying. The only real downers I've got on the entire film really are in the beginning, where it sort of takes a little while to establish the world that they're creating, which I suppose you would do. It's the first, you know, live action Pokemon film. But, you know, then they move to a different setting, and that setting has a different way of treating the world that they're in. So you start to get used to one way, and then you got to try and think about it in another way. The way they do it in the second place, it does work for the film, but when you're trying to get involved in the first bit of the film and you're excited and you want to see this live action Pokemon film and you try and get invested in what you start seeing, if that makes sense, what you start with, it then takes you a second to readjust. But like I say, it makes sense having it the second way, and you really get used to it fairly quickly. But it's just a pain that they tried to introduce one way and then they slightly changed it about 15 minutes in. The only thing I will say though is that I would have really loved to seen a Gen 8 Pokemon in there. You know, one of the starters maybe that they've already announced, you know, like Sobble, Scorbunny or Grookey. That would have been pretty cool. Grookey might have fit well into this film, especially as it's quite mischievous. Maybe it could have carried around its clave and been a little bit mischievous in the streets or the suburbs, you know, that sort of thing, making a racket. That could have been pretty cool and it would have fit in with Rhyme City pretty well, but it wasn't to be. Never mind, we'll just have to wait for a bit more Gen 8 news. But aside from these couple of minor bad points, I'd say personally as a Pokemon fan, this film's pretty good. I would watch this film again and again, and I'm sure I'm going to. But for now, that is all from me. I think you should go and watch this film if you haven't already, but if you have, there's going to be a spoiler-filled review coming very shortly. So, for the time being, thank you and goodbye. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you've enjoyed this video, why not leave a like or a comment down below? Believe me, both are really appreciated. And of course, if you've seen this video and you want to see more from me, click that subscribe button. Why not even ring the bell? Get notified the second I upload a video. But until next time, I'll see you later.